To order.
Okay. I
There you go.
I call the an emergency Board of Health meeting on November 5th, 2021 at 12 noon, called by our health agent, based on the open meeting laws that were decided by the legislature. And here we go.
Okay, perfect. So the numbers from last Wednesday showed our percent positivity at 3.33%, which has come down a lot from the previous week and the previous week before that. So we're headed in the right direction. We had 5 active cases, and the age ranges are all over the board. So I think we have less of a concentrated cluster and more of just a, freak community spread going on. And so I would be in favor of us lifting the mask mandate, because I think our numbers are going to continue to go in the downward direction. And I think we reserve the masks for when our numbers go up. And I think that was our commitment to the community, that we would put masks on and take masks off. In the meantime, I did have conversations with the recreation department about unmasking the children for outdoor soccer. So they're going to go ahead and do that. We had them masked up for soccer the past couple of weeks while our incidence rate was quite high. And the school, I believe today is the last day we have anyone out on isolation or quarantine. So they're going back to their 3-on-3 dining in the lunchroom and back to no masks outside at recess and chorus and whatever else we had put on pause. So okay. I think we can return to the new normal and, continue to monitor, obviously, as we do. And if the situation changes, then we'll be ready to act and respond. So my recommendation is that we lift the mask order and just go back to, requesting.
Okay. I so move.
I could second that. I think we're heading in the right direction. So I think you're right on, Hillary, I think.
Ken, would you like to weigh in? You're muted. Ken, we see you, but we can't hear you. Okay.
I'll unmute. There we go. You hear me now?
Yeah, I can
Yes.
hear you.
All right. So what is the percentage we're at this moment?
3.3.
Yeah, it's going down. I agree that, we should go, to get rid of the mask mandate. So that's what I agree. And I'll make a motion that sort that we go back to recommended and take away the mask mandate.
Great. Rebecca, if I send to you back language that says the order has been rescinded, can you push that out to the papers and the press?
I can.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
The only other thing I wanted to touch base on, which I think, did we have wastewater on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted us to think about, and this will be really brief, Ken, because I know you're working and we can talk about this on Wednesday, but I just want to prime your minds for this topic, is that I'm thinking it would be good for us to have a regulation requiring the enhanced IA only for tear downs and rebuilds within 300 feet of the resource area. So I just want us to stew that over until Wednesday when we talk about it more. And the reason being is that I'm seeing a lot of tear down and rebuilds coming in, and folks are buying properties along the coast, tearing them down, rebuilding them, which costs a lot of money. And the cost of the enhanced IA is minuscule into the amount that they're spending for the development and the reconstruction. The strange thing about Title V is that it does allow new construction as defined by Title V to be connected to existing pre-78 or post-78 septic systems. But it sort of hurts my heart and my mind to think that we're buying $1 million properties, tearing them down, rebuilding them, and connecting them to, a 1978 code system. So I just want us to give that some thought. These properties are the closest to the harbor. Some of them are big, some of them are seasonal. I think we can get good data out of them to see how these systems function in an area where it actually means a lot to us. So I want you to think about that for our meeting on Wednesday, and we can, put more thoughts to it at that time.
Okay, could I just add one thought?
Mhm.
Could we, I totally agree with where you're going and thinking about this. It seems to make no sense at all not to put in the enhanced IAs with the data that we have to date. However, what are we gonna do if we put in a regulation and somebody meets the criteria that is not a millionaire? I mean, because that's kind of like, it's not that it's subjective, because it isn't subjective, but what do we do if John Q. Citizen doesn't have a lot of money, is 300 feet near and does a tear down because he had a fire in his house or whatever, you know what I mean?
So we could rule out natural disasters or,
Okay.
like
So there are loopholes. In other words, there
Well,
are
and there's
loopholes.
there's also always the variance process. So if
Okay.
somebody, if there's a situation where somebody happens upon a property, they buy it, they tear it down, they rebuild it, and they're adamantly opposed to putting in enhanced IA for whatever reason, they can always apply for a variance through our regulation. And we
Okay.
can then
Okay.
hear their case. We can say, you know what, maybe you're a good candidate for the money we have in this pot that we can subsidize your system. Or we can say, yeah, sure, we agree with you that this isn't useful here. So I think we always have the variance.
We have options. Okay,
to fall back on.
great. That gives it a lot more zim, it gives me a
Yeah.
lot more. Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
Hillary, have you thought further about the cesspool issues?
I'm
Because
always thinking about it.
Because
To be honest,
from my perspective, upgrading a Title V to an enhanced system is one thing, but to go from a cesspool to an enhanced system is enormous with respect to treatment. And
yes.
I keep thinking if we could locate a half a dozen cesspools in very sensitive areas and make that move, we can get started on this process now.
Yes,
Start spending.
I agree with you.
Yep.
The question is our safest option for this type of regulation would be Lieutenant's Island, because we know we're never going to have a sewer out there,
Right.
and South Wellfleet and
Right.
South Wellfleet. So, and maybe out by some of our ponds, maybe following this Board of Health meeting and the enhanced IA workshop, maybe we do a little outreach to the people around the ponds that have cesspools that are like out there, and say,
Okay.
just want to talk to you. We're obviously having a problem with nutrient loading in the harbor and in our ponds. And, would you be interested in engaging in a conversation? Subsidies available. I mean, I think we can start the conversation with them,
Right.
but
Good.
I'm hesitant. I go back and forth about this, where we're doing nothing and we're waiting, but
Right.
close to a wastewater permit. We're close. We're not there. We're close. And I feel like maybe it's not the best to have people upgrade to something, and then a sewer line goes by, and then we say, you got to get right back on. Like, I just feel like money's tight for those of us that live here.
Right.
I don't know what the best answer is, but the nitrogen problem is there, and it's not getting any better. So every day we wait, there's more of a problem, but we've come this far doing what we're doing. I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know what the right answer is.
Yeah, I just figured, I'm sure we could locate. I don't know what Troro's experience has been. Have you had any follow-up if they've moved forward with that?
Truro. Yeah, no, they're doing good. People, I mean, there's not little to no pushback.
Right. That's on
But
the
they
cesspool
also-
issue, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but they also don't have a harbor, an impaired harbor.
No,
like
we're
that.
a
So,
different circumstance, understandably.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, as you said, South Wellfleet, there are a lot of areas that sewers aren't going to be there.
Exactly.
And cluster systems aren't going to be there.
Exactly.
And they're very, very sensitive areas. And I sensed your frustration at the select board meeting the other night when you kept saying, we're just sitting here waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying,
Yep.
we could actually get active on this if we were to take that step. It's a big step, I understand, and
Yeah.
saying cesspools are just failed because they don't do anything.
Let's
Well-
all think about that and make that our next step, make that our next challenge, you know?
I mean, we have
like
to discuss, what can we do? I mean, I don't know how many cesspools we still have. I know the ponds are probably pretty congested there with cesspools.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have a map. I think you said Americo is working on that, you know,
They're
as far as
forever-
mapping out
yeah,
where the
they're
cesspools
forever
are.
working
But there
on
is
it.
areas in town that are never going to have anything other than either Title Fives or enhanced systems.
Right.
That,
So
and
I
that
think,
they're there now, but I mean, it's the cesspools that are there. And, you know, if we wait until they fail, I mean, if they
I'm gonna go, okay, if you guys want to discuss this, but you know, I got on just for the COVID, but I am gonna take
Perfect.
off, okay?
yeah, we'll see you Wednesday night.
See you
All
Wednesday.
right, bye.
Thank you.
So I think my thought is that we could probably look at Scott's draft plan and pull out like the South Wellfleet watershed, and maybe we start with a regulation saying, I guess, I don't know if it's fair and equitable to pull out South Wellfleet and like Lieutenant's Island and say cesspools here are no longer allowed by a particular date certain, and then we see everything would be so much easier if we had the watershed plan, but we don't.
Right.
So
But
So-
could we get some hardcore data for those areas? I mean, if we could get numbers so that we could sell it with the elevated nitrogen numbers, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And say that the possibility of having sewers there is not going to happen, or any cluster
yeah.
system, or
You know
any
what?
great
Why don't I
treatment.
do this? Why don't I see if I could get Scott, because he's going to be on the meeting earlier. Maybe he could stay on.
Okay,
I can't remember if he had a Wednesday night conflict or not, but let me talk to Scott and see if he can
okay,
present to us some numbers, you know, starting with South Wellfleet, because we know that's going to be, you know, not an option for the sewer. So like starting to look there.
yeah,
And
that's a
see-
good idea, Nick. Yeah, yeah.
And then
tell-
maybe we can somehow spell out in a plan that once the watershed permit is done, cesspools will be prohibited everywhere. We're starting here for upgrades because we know that there's no other solution for this area. So maybe it involves something like that. Just a thought. You're muted. We can't hear you. That's you, Nick. You're muted.
Oh, there we go.
you
Okay.
There you go.
Back. I'm back. Yeah, I lost the connection before. But I'm saying I can agree with that. I mean, as long as we get a sense that we're moving in some direction. And I think, you know, if you come up with the data that really ties in high
Yeah.
nitrogen levels, sensitive areas,
Right.
we
Yeah.
have something we can move on.
Yeah, I agree. So let me talk to Scott. Let's continue to think about along the water, because that's like super disturbing to see. And
Well,
I'll
Scott's
continue.
information is correct when he says that if we continue just with Title V, we're not going to get anywhere. We really have to
Exactly.
start moving.
Yep, exactly.
Okay,
I think
Good.
we're all on the same page.
all righty.
Okay,
Okay,
so until Wednesday.
yes,
And I'll try to be there. I'll see.
Yeah.
Great.
I'll do
Nick-
everything I
Nick-
can to be there.
Okay. Could we have a
Very good.
motion to close the meeting? I so move.
I
You
second.
second? Okay,
Thank you.
okay.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Hillary.
Nick, could
Rebecca,
you stay
I'm
on for a
sending-
minute? Nick,
I'm
could you
sending
stay
you
on?
I will.
The order to mandate to not order.
Yeah, send
You
that
know
to me
what
and
I
I'll get
mean.
it on the
You
website.
know what I mean? Okay.
Yes, I gotcha.